Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Talk with the Titans, live from London, UK, all the way to the US of A and worldwide. I'm your host, Kalam, and this is Talk with the Titans. You know what? We've got the Minister of Health. Titans TV's own Minister of Health is here with us right now. When I say the minister, I should say the prime minister, because there ain't nobody topping him when it comes to health. I know you lot are wondering who it is, and I'm sure you lot guessed it already. It is our brother, our beloved Minister Enqi. Peace to you, King.
Peace to the gods, yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now, you know what? There's been some startling news and revelations that's been taking place within inside of the community and within inside of the global news network in total. Now, you know what? We've seen certain things that's been taking place. We have two companies, major companies, a major pesticide and a major herbicide company that it has a potential to come together. I'm talking about Bayer's and Monsanto are going to be merging together, or possibly be merging together. Now we're going to talk about the catastrophe of that event taking place, and we're also going to be talking about you know what, the various poisoning of the black community via the water system. This, you know, it's been recorded in Flint, Michigan. It's been recorded in DC as well, and everybody knows, you know, with a prolonged exposure to lead, this can actually cause a mental retardation within inside of you know, our boys and girls in our community, full stop. As well as, you know what, the medical industry actually targeting predatory targeting the black community and diagnosing them or misdiagnosing them so they can actually build wealth and make money from them, from continuous treatments. So we're going to go into all of those different things, which will be coming out very shortly. For everybody who's tuning in right now, I know this is literally early. We don't usually do shows this early. So please hit the share button and let everybody know we've got Minister Enqi on right now, and we're going to be tackling some really serious issues affecting the black community. This isn't no mythology. This isn't no hypothesis. This is real things that are taking place right now within our community. So please hit the link, share button, and share the link as mad and as crazy as possible. So Minister, please, can you just inform our community of all the goings-ons?
Of all the goings-ons, that will take like 10 seconds. White folks trying to kill black folks. Done.
Damn, they haven't let up since Margaret. What's her name? Margaret
Sanger.
Margaret Sanger. So are we saying this is the same case? This is the practice of eugenics. White people trying to eliminate and destroy a mass black population.
Right. I mean, you know, a lot of this is kind of like old news, because if you look at our history, the people that are celebrated are founders of this movement. You know, even we look at Hillary Clinton, she's running particularly strong on a black platform, and she's already been on NBC saying that she wants to be the next Margaret Sanger. You know, so it's really getting to the point where, you know, we're at fault here, you know, for what's going on, because we're so uninformed. You know, a lot of people, I got blamed for being insensitive to some degree to what's going on in Flint, simply because I made the comment that Flint is not the only place where this is going on. And sometimes I should do a little bit more thinking before I speak, because sometimes I'm a little too brash in the way I come across. And, you know, my thing was, I'm like, hey, why are we getting so excited about Flint? And people looked at me like, yo, what the fuck's wrong with you? What do you mean, why are we getting so excited about Flint? Do you know what they're doing in Flint? I'm like, do you know what they're doing in Flint? To this very moment, I haven't heard one person speak about how the lead got into the water in Flint. Nobody's speaking about how the lead got into the water in Flint. And this is the main reason why the people who know what's going on, like one of those guys I think turned up dead, the other guys got silenced away into some lockdown real quick. Like they want to hush this thing, because if the truth of the matter gets out, then and believe me, the truth of the matter is going to get out via this video. Because I already know. So I was just like, listen, the things that's going on in Flint are going on widespread across the country, and not just across America. This is a global thing wherever we have quote unquote civilization. Civilization has become synonymous in conversation with colonization. So wherever the major European countries have colonized and taken over, basically everywhere except third world countries, and then even third world countries depend on the larger nations for infrastructure. So even they are suffering from the same thing. Now, what am I talking about? Okay. Before we get too deep, right? Let's just put it right on Front Street so we can understand. Now, listen. Before I let the cat out of the bag so people can understand how far down the rabbit hole this thing goes, I have to say, this is the reason why I put together the God Complex course. It's on my website. Everybody can join. It's a correspondence course. You go at your own pace. But these are the things that you have to know. If you do not know your body, you do not know how to defend your body. If you don't understand your body, you don't know how your body is being poisoned. You don't know how poisons are interacting in your body. You don't know how to push the poisons out of your body. So these are the things that is taught in the God Complex course, so that people are prepared for the ongoing onslaught. These are to make it seem like these are isolated incidents where, okay, boom, now we got the white scientists, right? And hopefully we got a couple of audio clips from this guy, right? But now we got the white scientists coming forward and saying, oh my God, these are acts of what's the word? Eugenics against black folks. These are planned massed homicides in Washington, D.C., in Flint, Michigan, blah, 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 blah. This is what's been going on, and it's never stopped. I put the video up when we had a STEAMS conference in Detroit in honor of Marcus Garvey, me, Brother KT, Sarah Sunseti. We all came out, and I put a clip up. And in the clip, it had a white woman talking about how they have been radiating the milk to create diabetes and cancer in the black community, and only black communities are getting this radiated milk. And the reason why, and I actually said this before I put the video on, the reason why is because black folks are still colonized in their mind, meaning if I tell them something, it's not taken with a grain of salt. It's taken with a fucking salt factory. It's like, well, who approved that? What's your reference point? What school did you get that from? Blah, 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 blah. Because you got these plants in the community whose job it is to take away credibility from credible information sources. So when you're speaking to the people and you're saying things that can really add quality of life to people whose lives have purposely had quality taken from it, there's going to be opposition planted. And in today's age, that opposition is planted in the guise of other quote unquote speakers. But you can look at their whole thing and see that they don't do anything but cause confusion. Then you have something that hasn't been discussed in the conscious community. We talk about microchips under the skin and nanobots in the food and all kinds of other foolishness. But what we're not talking about is robots that are designed to put negative comments on your videos and your Instagram and your Facebook and things like that to create a mass frenzy, or the look of a mass frenzy of negative feedback, because people join in. People are magnetized by waves of movement. So they create false waves of movement to destabilize certain types of information as it's coming in. So I had to tell people, I said, listen, I'm going to play this European so she can tell you why you shouldn't drink milk, because when I tell you don't drink milk, you still got a refrigerator full of milk. So, you know, we sometimes need to hear it from Europeans, and it gives it a different light. Why are we still at that level? Your guess is as good as mine. But here's the big problem, and this is the thing that no one's been discussing, and I know I get long-winded sometime, but you know that comes right before a nice jewel, so you got to wait this shit out. So here's how the lead is getting into the water, right? And this is what we've heard for a long time, and this will segue us right into the Monsanto thing with Bayer. In the Nazi camps, they use fluoridated water to dumb down and control the prison population. Now we know here in America, for sure, I don't know what they do over where you at, but we know for a fact here in America they use fluorosilicic acid in the public water supply. So our public water supply is fluoridated. Now, what people don't know is that one of the #1 things that fluoride does in the water, specifically fluorosilicic acid, is it attracts lead. So the larger elephant in the room is not the lead poisoning in the water. It's where the lead poisoning is coming from in the water, because it can't be removed, because the entire piping system in America's infrastructure is lead and brass. Lead wasn't outlawed in the piping system until 1986. And then it was put in there with brass and things that still contain lead in there. But it's not supposed to be able to be pulled out of the pipes into the water supply until you add a chemical compound that can extract that lead from those pipes, which is the fluoride compound that they have in the water. So this is what I've been trying to explain to people, is that this is going on everywhere that there's fluoride in the water. Anywhere there's fluoride in the water, you're going to have lead in the water, because the lead is going to be pulled into the water by fluoride. Now, when you put the fluoride in your body, it attracts more lead into your body. Now, some people that are really biologically astute will say, well, there are small amounts of lead in all kinds of plants and all that. So, you know, how have we been living on this planet with lead thus far? Which brings us to the real thing that we need to deal with when we know that lead poisoning is going on. How do we detoxify lead from the system? How do we detoxify lead from the system? Simple. And this is one of the things that we teach in the God Complex course. So you can go to 40dayfruitfast.com, join the class. You can buy the Medical Papyrus book on the website. You can buy the iKing book on the website. Both of those books have it.
Minister Enqi, could you tell us where again?
Well, you go into the shop. If you click shop.
So this is the 40dayfruitfast.com.
Yes.
You can literally type in 40, as in 40 day, fruitfast.com, and it will come up straight away. Alternatively, if you are on Google, just Google search Minister Enqi, and I'm pretty sure it will come up straight away. So yes.
Then you go down, and it should be in PDF books right there. Go back up. PDF books. Go down a little bit.
Okay, so we've got PDF books. Okay, so I do apologize. This computer that I'm working with, the images may not show up. Right. So here we go.
Go up a little bit. That's the medical papyrus right there. Black Genetics Pharmacia, the medical papyrus. And then if you go down a little bit more, you'll find the well, you'll have to scroll through. But this is the iKing addendum. So you're looking for the actual original book. It
There you
looks
go.
similar to that. So you can get those 2 books, or you can just join the class, but not the addendum. You want to get the actual I King book. And you can get those 2 books. It'll have it in there. And what you're looking for is the understanding of the mineral relationships. In fact, wait, go scroll back up. Black Genetics 1, right? That's the cover you see right there. Even though that is the entire library, volumes 1 through 5. It's on sale still. I got to take that down. So if you see this, you get to get the sale price before I take that off of there. But in that book right there, that actually begins the lesson on mineral relationships. And that's very important to understand in biology, and it's very important to understand in terms of your health. In fact, the whole reason that lead is poisonous and how lead actually functions in your body is because lead competes for the same cell receptor sites in your body as calcium, as phosphorus, as iron, as copper. So all of these places where your body looks to utilize iron and copper, lead actually replaces those things and serves as a free radical, a large free radical, which sucks electricity out of those areas. So if you can almost imagine, instead of iron being at the core of your red blood cell, lead will be sitting at the core of your red blood cell. The same thing happens in the brain with your brain cells. Specifically, lead blocks and destroys GABA, which is a very important neurotransmitter. It also destroys, now here's where it gets really deep on the eugenics level. And this is what I've been trying to get people to understand. In fact, of course, again, we go into it in the God Complex course, but I have a video up called Genocide by Ammonia. And in that video, we go really heavy into understanding the melanin like no one ever has. And, you know, because we talk about diabetes being an attack on melanin, because when your body has high levels of blood insulin floating around in the blood and high levels of glucose floating around in the blood, your body can't properly utilize tyrosine. And tyrosine is not only the precursor to skin pigment. So this is not just a black issue, it's just primarily a black issue. All right, so it's not just the skin pigment, but it's also the brain pigment, the neuromelanin that allows us to think. So this is why the children can't sit and concentrate when they're full of processed foods and sugars and stuff like that. So lead also stops dopamine production, and dopamine is the first compound produced by the brain before it goes through the cascade of transitions to becoming neuromelanin or skin pigment, etc., etc. So that's how toxic and dangerous lead is. And if we understand the biology, we understand how to detoxify it. So when people ask me, well, what's the simple solution? There's not really a simple solution, but on my website, I have a compound called chemiluminescence. And what I did with that is I went further than anybody I've ever seen, any product I've ever seen in the community, in GNC, the vitamin shop, online, you name it. I've never seen a product give so much clarity in terms of the ingredients. So the way I designed the label was each area that chemiluminescence is designed to attack, I put the herbs that work, that catalyze each other for that specific function. Then on the back of the label, I put what each one of those herbs brings to the table and how it does that. So one of the things that you can look at is in terms of what we're talking about right now, lead. The way you detoxify lead from the body, right, is you have to have high amounts, and you have to be consistent with this. That's why prevention, you know, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So people ask me, should they take chemiluminescence every day as a mineral supplement? No, but you should take it on a regular basis to keep your body clean and keep your metabolism functioning. So that's a different kind of daily maintenance. But high levels of calcium, phosphorus, iron, copper, chromium, right, which is important for your pancreas as well as your eyes, and zinc. And then the two most crucial minerals in detoxifying the body of lead, which I have in very high amounts in the chemiluminescence, are selenium and silica or silicone, which a lot of people are deficient in both of those things because they are not in the popular diet. And that includes all of the smart people that think because they're eating vegan style or raw-tarians that they're getting etc., because these things are not in the soil. See? So if they're not in the soil, it doesn't matter what type of produce you're eating. Okay, boom. It doesn't matter what type of produce you're eating, it's not going to be in the fruits and the vegetables. So these are things that you have to go out of your way to supplement with, you know. So that's how you get rid of the lead poisoning and keep your body strong and robust and keep your metabolism running fast. So as the lead is creeping in your body in small, minute amounts, you're able to flush it out, which is the smart way to handle that, as opposed to waiting until you have super high toxic levels of lead in your system, and now you're trying to flush it out the natural way, which is putting you at a real disadvantage because you're always going to be getting small increments of various toxins coming into the body that you have to push out every day. But the problem is that we are not taking in the nutrients that we need. This is the reason why I put the chemiluminescence together to serve as a multifaceted, like, health monster, so to speak, so that way it would be inexpensive and easy to get all of these things done, because all of these things function under the guise of fat in your body. All of these things are part of the fat cycle in your body. All of the chemical toxins in your body hides them in fat molecules. It's fat that allows these things to happen. So in order to detox, you got to burn fat. You got to reduce insulin. You got to deal with blood sugar. You got to deal with your body's hormones and estrogen levels and all of these various things. So I'll let you take take the.
So you know what? Let me get this straight though, because it seems as though you're saying that you know, these lead, or the vast amounts of lead that is contained in the water has been ever present because of the fact that you know, the water companies use these fluoride components that actually attract and draw the lead, which are in the pipe system itself, and it's getting into our systems and actually you know, making us have these illnesses. You know, it's quite funny because what do we see quite recently? I saw on Facebook actually, you had in Flint little testers. You have the testers that they placed into the water to find out if the water was contaminated with lead. And it seems as though even the bottled waters had quite a high amount of lead within inside of them, because they were going off beep on the actual on the measuring rods. So you know what? So this isn't just within inside of Flint. It's not in DC. This is ever present. Is that what you're saying to me?
Correct. What's happening now is there are certain places where, because fluoride, these fluoride compounds are a waste product from the aluminum industry. Right? So a lot of these chemical compounds are being recycled from other industries. And, you know, it's interesting to see now Bayer and Monsanto coming together, right? And we'll get to that in a second, but and I'll explain to you why it's interesting. But a lot of these are waste products from other industries, so they're recycling these things. So why that's important is because as long as they keep the levels at a certain minimum, there's no public alarm, because people aren't getting high enough levels of this stuff into their system in short periods of time to create immediate overnight problems. But when we look at autoimmune disease and cancer And these sorts of illnesses that we know take years and years to build up, we're not putting 2 + 2 together coming up with 4. We're not. And we're not getting it by blaming everything on the diet, because we don't even completely understand all the facets of dieting, because we don't understand how our bodies work. It's just impossible to understand food if you don't understand how your body processes food. I mean, I really can't stress that enough. So as long as the levels are at a minimum level, there's no alarm. When a large amount of fluoride gets pumped into the water supply, all of a sudden, guess what happens? A large amount of lead gets pulled out of the pipes into the water, and now you got a situation. So there's a lot more people related to these quote-unquote problems. Like, for instance, in Flint, this thing doesn't start with the governor. This ain't start with the governor. First of all, you can see how casual the governor is about the whole deal. And when you see that kind of casualness, when you do a crime and you know nobody knew what's going on, and damn, you kind of hot because you might get busted, there's a certain mannerism that you take on. Even somebody that's used to doing the thing over and over again, he still has a certain type of mannerism. Now, there's a completely different behavior when you're just doing what the book says. This is what everybody's doing. So what's the big deal? That's the kind of attitude that the governor put forward to everybody. Like, hey, this is standard practice. What's going on right now? Why am I looking like the scapegoat out here? What's going on right now? Because other governors, this is the standard practice. This is standard. They put the chemicals. They you know, it's like I was down in Texas. I did a lecture down there, and one of the brothers that brought me down, his dad worked in waste management for 50 years. He retired from it. He said, listen, what do you think we do with the dry feces that comes out of the water system? He said, I guess like 10 different things, and I was wrong on each one of them. He said, let me tell you what we do, because you'll never guess it. We sell it to Florida, and they use it as fertilizer. So the shit, the diarrhea, the shit from Texas, they sell to Florida as fertilizer. You understand what I'm saying? So these chemical companies are using waste. They're making money on everything. Everything is a profit. When you go to these public piss stalls, somebody extracts the urine and sells the urine. The urine shows up in hair products, skin products, fertilizers, and all kinds of crazy shit. And one of the largest dangers to eating a lot of meat, to eating meat in general, is that these farm animals get the lowest of the lowest care that money can buy. The most contaminated waters are the waters that they're drinking. The lowest type of cheapest food is what they're eating. The worst fertilizer goes on what they eat and chew. So they are concentrations of all of these chemical compounds. They are concentrations of all these things. And the fact that they're killed and slaughtered so quickly hides the tumorous, cancerous growth and the chemicals that cause those things in those animals. So it's not just the saturated fats in the blood and all of those things that you got to deal with when you're a meat eater. You have to deal with the high concentration of synthetic hormones, synthetic chemicals, the shit that's in the water that's being concentrated in those animals, because they try to, you know, use the dirtiest water. I mean, like, this is really an ongoing situation, and we really have to become vigilant. You know, I tell people all the time, I say, look, when your dad released you as a sperm, it was at least 5, 10, 50, 100 million of you. You had to fight to be that one to make it to the egg and survive to get here. There's no reason to get here and then become lazy now. You still have to fight for your health and your survival. This is something that you got to do every day. When you wake up, we look at the gym, we have a different outlook on the gym. We look at the gym and working out as a means of being thankful and humble and appreciating and loving ourselves. That's how you praise the temple. That's how that's how we worship the body. You know, that's how you do that. You don't eat chicken and milkshakes and shit like that and then pray over it and think some miracle is going to happen to it. That's not how it goes. That's why people from the churches is going down with heart failure and diabetes and cancer left and right, because they're not. If you believe in God, then you should appreciate and take care of what He gave you, and that's your body. That's your body. That should be the #1 sin in your mind, to destroy the only physical thing that you have evidence that He gave you. So no matter what type of background you're coming from, the protection of your body should be the first thing in your mind. And you got to eat that way. You have to exercise that way. You have to live that way on a daily basis, because the onslaught is not going to stop. This is not going to end. Now, when we segue over and we look at Monsanto joining together, we have to take it back a few years. Everybody watching this can research. Bayer got busted.
Before you go into that, I just wanted to piggyback real quickly based on the water.
Veggie back.
Because someone mute their mic, I can hear a mad feedback going through. So let me just do it quickly. Yeah, so over here we have, let me just quickly share my screen for all those people who haven't seen it already. There was actually an MSNBC news report actually that took place not so long ago, and it was showing that the AP water survey, is actually called 5 months AP investigation, showed up that 50 major cities in 50 states had drugs in water of 24 major cities, and 41 million Americans were actually affected by this. And it was a whole cocktail full of drugs inside of it. I don't know if I can just, it had various drugs in it, such as the acetam, I can't even pronounce that, ibuprofen, mood stabilizers, antibiotics, angina, heart, cholesterol drugs, sex hormones, etc., all contaminated in the water supply. And they know about this. This was a survey done by the AP Water Committee that actually found that all of these 50 major states and cities had drug contaminations inside of the water. And it's also showing that this water contamination actually causes certain fishes and animals to actually become females. So I'm just thinking, does that actually affect humans now? If those little minute particles can affect, these fishes to convert them from being males, they're actually born males, but after a period of time of this contamination, they become females. What is it actually doing to the human population? Is this the reason why there's a high rise in homosexuality taking place within our communities as well? But I'm just throwing that out there. Back over to you, man. Minister Enqi. You're the Prime Minister of Health, so I'm just gonna bring it all back to you.
Listen, that's absolutely what's going on right now. That's absolutely what's going on right now. In fact, just to and I'm gonna go back to the IG Farben Bayer thing, but just to finish up what you're saying, there's been a cover-up going on for the last 50 years on male sperm, male potency. The sperm counts have been going down lower and lower every 10 years. Every 10 years, the sperm count is dropping, and it's because of these chemical compounds that we're getting from the water supply and the meat supply. All right, that's the largest concentration. And people will say, oh, well, is it in the fruits and vegetables? It sure is in the fruits and vegetables, but it's nowhere near in the high concentrations that it is in the meat, because the animals eat these things and concentrate it in their tissues. And then when you eat the meat is dead. The meat is dead, so there's no living enzymes and anything in the meat anymore. But the chemical compounds are still active. The chemical compounds are still active. Now, what does that mean? That means when these chemicals get into plants and fruits and vegetables, a lot of times those plants and fruits and vegetables have compounds and phytonutrients in there that, if they don't completely neutralize some of the effects of these things, they at least minimize it to a degree. And this is why I'm saying, pointing out the minerals that detoxify lead from the system and telling people, look, you don't have to run around and do no crazy combining yourself. All you got to do is go to the same website and get the chemiluminescence. It has it in there. It already has all of those herbs and the synergistic herbs that boost the function of each one of them so that you get the maximum detoxifying effect. You get the maximum fat cell reduction effect, which pushes the chemicals out and makes them easier to eliminate from the system. And all of those various things. You get the estrogen reduction. In the chemiluminescence, you get estrogen reduction from all of these xenoestrogens and chemical compounds that throw off the body's hormones. Now, going back to Bayer, if everybody uses their Google, they can look up maybe 5-10 years ago, Bayer got busted with these aspirins in America. The aspirins got contaminated with an AIDS sample somehow in a laboratory. Bayer knew this and continued to sell the aspirin anyway. And then when they got banned from selling the AIDS-infected pills in America, they just shipped them overseas to your niggas over there in London and Europe. Now,
oh, mate.
here's the interesting thing about this. Bayer, right? Bayer used to be a different company. Bayer used to be IG Farben. You see, IG Farben is the company that was in control of all of the chemical poisoning that took place in the Nazi camps. And all of this stuff is look-upable. Like, none of this is, you can Google everything I'm saying. Google Bayer and IG Farben right now. IG Farben, F-A-R-B-E-N. You can just Google it and pull it all up. Bayer, B-A-S-A-F, all that stuff is going to pop up. When you look at Bayer merging with Monsanto, a lot of people just know Monsanto is the guys that they're responsible for the the GMO foods, right? And most people don't even understand how foods are GMO'd. The way foods become GMO foods is because they attach synthetically programmed DNA to fungus and yeast, and then they inject the fungus and the yeast into the plants, and then the fungus and the yeast embed themselves in the DNA of the plant and add the synthetic DNA to the plant, and now the offspring will have the newly programmed, genetically modified, traits that the laboratory or the company is looking to imbue in these things. But the way they came up with this technology is the way, see, we always got to go in the Enqi vision. Enqi vision is what people missing. We always got to figure out the other thing. We always looking over here when we should be looking over here. What we should be looking at is, where did they come up with this technology? Because they used to be a biological warfare company. So all of these things were created. Agent Orange, remember that? Monsanto made that shit.
Right. That's Monsanto.
And then they took the Agent Orange and rearranged it just a little bit, and then they made their first fertilizer with that joint. No, not fertilizer, excuse me, pesticide. You know what I'm saying? So we got to really see who these companies are to be able to say, oh, okay. So then we look at the DuPont family. We say, oh, okay, well, what business is the DuPont family in? Because now they're getting into seeds and agriculture and fertilizers and pesticides. But who are they? Oh, that's the painting company. Wrong answer. Who were they before the painting company? They're the guys that bought you guns, TNT, dynamite. These are the killing groups. So when we look at these families that made their millions off of enslavement and murder, we can't be surprised at what's going on today. This has never stopped. Only thing that's changed is that we went to sleep. We listening to Nicki Minaj and all of this other bullshit, and not to throw her under the bus, but just we're listening to frivolous foolishness. Panda, 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 panda. Like, That's the shit that's ingrained in our brain, and we're going to sleep at the wheel. You know, there's nothing wrong with listening to Panda, Panda, Panda if that shit gets you hyped to jog 4 or 5 miles and do an extra 10 or 20 reps on the bench press. You know, it's no problem with that. There's no problem with looking and lusting after Nicki Minaj if it makes the girl say, you know what, I'm gonna do 100 squats today. I'm gonna go out and do me a 100, you know, quad curls, or, you know, squat thrusts, and, you know, I'm gonna go and work out to attain what she may not have attained that way, but I'm gonna go work out and get it to see how I can develop my potential. It's no problem with looking at these things if it's gonna inspire us to be more. But if these things that we're indulging in inspire us to sleep, inspire us into a slumber, inspire us into a stupor, then we have nobody to blame but ourselves, especially when, you know, I'm making it easy. Here's a course. Here's a God Complex course. The entire course costs less than one college textbook. One college textbook is $350. The whole class is like it's like a 3 to 6 month class. Less than one college textbook. You got one herbal compound. It got 24 herbs in it. 24 herbs in it. That's going to detoxify the lead, the fat, the estrogen, and all this crazy stuff out of your body. And everything is researchable. So I didn't even want to put it in no kind of way where people got to go on what I'm saying. When you go to the website and you go to chemiluminescence page, it has every single herb, and it has all the research demonstrating what that herb does and how that herb functions, etc., etc. So not only do you have the product at your fingertips, but you have the knowledge. You have the knowledge at your fingertips. You know what I'm saying? You may lose me. I just lost my Facebook page and then lost another Facebook page. Boom, boom, back to back. I got 3 friends on my Facebook page right now. You know what I'm saying? So,
literally from one week to the next week.
Right. So you may lose me. You need to get the information. You got to get the information so you have it. If all this electricity shit shut off, you can't call Minister Enqi and order shit off the website at that point. It's over. You missed your window of opportunity. You know, all that money we got to redirect. When we look at the scientists who put the information out, the first thing I said to you was, you know what? That sounds like he done remixed some Minister Enqi shit with medical apartheid from Harriet Washington. And if you haven't heard of medical apartheid, it's a sister. Her name is Harriet Washington. And she wrote this book, and the book is tremendous. It's one of my favorite books ever of all time. She documents racism in the medical establishment in astonishing and even horrific detail. This is the type of books that we need to read. You know, as I was reading the book for the first time, I'm telling my daughters about stuff that I'm reading in the book and letting them see, like, look, this is a woman wrote this book, and look what she says about who the father of modern gynecology is. You know, I'm going to let everybody do the homework on that. Who's the father of modern gynecology? Because Homeboy has a statue up next to Central Park in New York. And let me tell you how this guy got famous. Let me tell you how this guy built his reputation. He did 2 things, and all of a sudden the government of America funded him. And once they funded him, the royalty over in your country brought him over there and knighted this motherfucker and made him a knight. They kidnapped a black slave, a black man, right? They strapped him down in a barber chair, and he cut the man's jawbones out while he was still awake. That's number 1. Number 2, he bought about 7 or 8 slaves, and what he would do is rape them so that they could be pregnant. And as they were pregnant, he would, he would force abortions on them, so he could keep re-impregnating them. So he would have, he would have subjects for all of his GYN research. So he did all kinds of things to give these women diseases and illnesses so that he could experiment on them with surgeries and chemicals to find cures. Right? This is how he built his legend. This is how he built his legacy. They brought this motherfucker to London and made him a knight for this. the father of modern gynecology. So when you look today and you see that in the hospitals of America, women go into the hospital with a headache and they wake up with half their uterus missing, partial hysterectomy, full hysterectomy. And they say, how did you take out, I didn't give you permission to take out my womb or part of my womb. And they say, oh, well, you signed these papers when you came into the hospital, or you came in through the emergency room entrance. You don't know what that you gave us all rights to do whatever we wanted to you to, you know, to handle the problem. So, and then everyone's surprised that these things are going on. And my thing is, how can you be surprised when this is what the industry is founded on? A man who kidnapped black women and raped them to get pregnant and then cut their body up and all this kind of crazy shit to experiment on them. Like, this is what the business is still about, because black genes are still the most valuable thing on this planet. So they're still stealing the black blood the same way they did Henrietta Lacks, right? They're still chopping up black women. They're still convincing black women to give up their uterus and their womb so that they can turn those into stem cell factories, because the richest, most available stem cell source is the endometrium, the lining of a woman's womb and vagina, right? That's the richest, a black woman specifically, that's the richest source of stem cells on Earth. That is the most prized possession of modern biology and genetics research right now. So all of these things is going on, you know, to target black folks. And it's like we still sleep at the wheel. We got to take care of our body, and the things that we need to do are not difficult. They're not difficult. You know, you got people waving the flag saying, yo, follow me. Don't eat this, don't eat that, just eat this. Work out, do a goddamn jumping jack. I mean, Jesus Christ. Get a jump rope. I mean, work up a sweat. You horny, you watching all this sexual TV, have sex. Stop watching it on TV masturbating. Find you another human and have sex hard so you can work up a sweat. But by all means, work up a sweat daily. Find you a way to seriously engage in exercise. Like, these are simple things. When we look at lead attacking the dopamine production in the body, when we look at diabetes, the insulin and the glucose attacking the ability for your body to utilize tyrosine, these is not just attacks across the board. These are the things that are targeting the very thing that makes you a brown or black person. The very thing that gives you the ability to process information. The moment the substantia nigra in the middle of the brain loses pigment, loses melanin, this is not no bullshit, you immediately lose the ability to be cognizant. That's what dementia, Alzheimer's, and all those things are. Loss of mental, the pigment in the brain, loss of neuromelanin. So when you don't have the ability to process dopamine, you cannot keep neuromelanin. When you don't have the ability to process tyrosine, not only don't you have the ability to process any type of melanin throughout the body, but you start to lose muscle tone. You start to lose heart function, because tyrosine is a key amino acid in the heart muscle tissue. So all of these are key things that we have to take care of business on. You know, a lot of people running around CMOS, 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 CMOS. They don't even know why they screaming CMOS so goddamn much, because other people are saying it. Now, there are key things that you do need in CMOS, but CMOS is like every other herb. It's best when taken with complementary other herbs. This is why once I learned that, because it's easy for me to just order a whole bunch of pounds of CMOS and repackage it and be like, yo, I got the CMOS. But to be honest, nobody that's selling CMOS with a black face has a CMOS factory where they're actually grabbing CMOS from the ocean and powderizing it themselves. They're buying it wholesale and then putting it in the package with their sticker on it, and then now I got the CMOS. Come on, man. Like, let's be serious about this thing. Let's be serious about this thing. We don't have boats. We're not going out there collecting algae. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're repackaging things. Once I learned that CMOS was more effective when you combine it with other herbs, when you combine it with other sea vegetables, then I said, okay, time to step my game up. It doesn't make sense for me to continue to sell people the product, even though I know it's not the best for people, but people want to spend their money on it. So they'll ask me, minister, where's the sea moss? I'm like, the sea moss is inside the chemiluminescence. They're like, nah, I just want to grab the sea moss. I'm like, for what? They're like, yo, because it got this, and that. And most people don't even know the dopest facet of sea moss and why it has such an affinity for your biology is because sea moss is high in not just galactose, but the very fibers that hold the sea moss together, the molecule sea moss, is galactose, and it's loaded with not just galactose, but galactose-based enzymes. Galactose is the essential sugar that your body needs to be able to process melanin. To be able to process melanin. Neuromelanin as well as skin melanin cannot function without galactose and galactose-based enzymes. That's why the sea moss is so potent for your body. But there are other things that you need to have that work at its highest facet. You need other catalyzing agents. So this is why I'm saying we have to learn the body. We got to understand these things. You know, look at how this company from the Midwest in America, they're called Cargill or Cargill, Cargill. Now,
just before you go into that, it seems as though our audience members have been doing their research and they proposed, was it J. Marion Sims?
That is correct. That is correct.
Excellent.
That is correct.
Real quickly, before we do anything as well, I just want to just give, because a lot of people who are watching right now may not be familiar with Talk with the Titans. So Talk with the Titans is a show on Titans TV that deals with, you know what, we literally bring all the intellectual giants of our community together to present, discuss, and debate critical information affecting our community. So if you haven't seen any of our past shows, we've literally had we had Sharif Bey on last night. When I say last night, I think this was about 5 o'clock this morning, my time, should I say. You know, he was given a response to Shaka Ahmos and actually getting in the Moors, the Ali's men was getting it in with Brother Reggie as well, which was quite good. It was a very nice, neat interaction that was going on. So we've had Professor Griffon, Zaza Ali on. Of course, we've had our brother Minister Enqi on. We've had Nasia Chevelle, Young Pharaoh, Amon Ra Squad, Dr. Ma'at, and the list, Brother Polite, and the list goes on. So please check out those shows to see more of Talk with the Titans for those of you who are new to the channel. As well, please check out the Speakers Corner section where we have a lot of debates going on weekly, and we post up, near enough every single week. We have atheists, Muslim, Christians, Jewish, Comedics, all different types of debates going on the channel. So please check out some of those debates as well. Support the UK conscious community if it's possible. Please support us. And yeah, that's it. I'm never going to go into anything as well. We've had our African history and philosophy section. We had Brother Ranoko Rashidi giving us a presentation as well. So please check out some of our other programs that are on Titans TV. We have over 140 people. This is kind of amazing right now to have over 150 people joining us right now, and I know it's early for everybody who's in America. Some people might be in the West Coast even, and it might just be, I don't know, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock where you are, but over here, sorry?
With no promotion.
With no promotion at all. So that's amazing. And I'm pretty sure after this is finished, it's just going to go up crazy. People are going to be watching this show. So please hit the like button. Let us know that you're actually enjoying the information. I'm reading your comments as well, so don't worry about that. I'm reading your comments with Inside. Someone just said Shaka, talking about Shaka. Okay, cool. I'm reading the comments, so please, hit me up with the comments. I'm there. I'm being attentive. I'm seeing them. I'm definitely going to have some questions being asked to our brother in about 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to ask him some questions. So yeah, definitely. We're going to look out for that. So please hit the like button, share this as well. Let everybody know that we've got Minister Enqi on with us right now. He is the Prime Minister of Health for Titans TV. So if there's anything going on that is affecting the conscious community, affecting the community, both home and abroad, dealing with health, our brother, our Prime Minister, Minister Enqi, will be dealing with that for us. All right. So yeah, Minister Enqi, pardon me for cutting your wisdom. Keep on going in. But I definitely do want to go in. I want to touch on a little bit later on the medical industry and how, because we've just touched on the medical industry, but I want to touch on how.
We're talking about that cancer thing too.
That cancer thing was crazy.
We got to deal with that. So let me finish up on these guys, and then we can go right into that actually.
Cool.
So again, when you see that Bayer knowingly sold the AIDS-laced pills to Americans and Europeans, when you see that they're actually a derivative or the new name of IG Farben, who made the chemicals to keep the number one thing was fluoridate the water. Fluoridate the water, right? So what was also going on with those guys that hasn't been discussed? Obviously, if they were fluoridating the water supply in the Nazi camps, then that means what? That means that there was lead poisoning in the water in the Nazi camps. If they're fluoridizing the water here in the States, that means there's lead poisoning in the water here. So you got to see that Monsanto's coming out of this same group of companies. And this is what I talk about in my lecture, Pharmakia. I actually got a lecture, and I went into that in the book, The Medical Papyrus, Pharmakia. You know what I'm saying? Because these companies actually all come out of a larger conglomerate, which is named Pharmakia. And the crazy thing about Pharmakia is, in the Bible, it says that Pharmakia is going to kill everyone. So, you know, there are people that don't believe in the Bible, whatever the case may be, but in the Bible, it says Pharmakia. Pharmakia, literally it says this, Pharmakia is going to kill everyone. Pharmakia is going to kill everyone. This is crazy shit right here. It says this literally in the Bible. Pharmakia is going to kill everyone. And if you look up, these companies all trace themselves back to a larger company called Pharmakia. So I thought that was bold for the company to even name themselves Pharmakia. They must have came under heat and pressure, because then they start coming up with other names, IG Farben and then Bayer. That's what they do. It's just like the neighborhood. You know, when you go to a club in the hood and the club gets shot up and shit, they don't shut the club down. They just change the name and say under new management. So that's what these big companies is doing. You know what I'm saying? Once they kill a few million motherfuckers, then it's like, oh, shut that down under new management. But it's the same people. So Monsanto comes out of that. You know, you got this company from the Midwest of America called Cargill. They're already in partnership with Monsanto. And the weird thing about them is, and this is where I kind of have like a pet peeve, and this is another reason why I have the God complex course, right? We suffer from so many issues because we refuse to be the people that we are pretending to be. What I mean by that is this. We're having these large debates, right? We have these arguments. If you disagree with somebody, they'll stalk your social media, cuss you out, and call you all kind of names and shit. But nobody is really using our ancestors' science to create better quality of life. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. These other people, they're adopting our ancestors' science and making billions and millions and billions and millions of dollars left and right. Now, what am I talking about? Monsanto is in partnership with this company, Cargill. So Monsanto makes the seeds, Cargill makes the fertilizer. Now, how did Cargill start their business? They started their business because they got the idea somewhere in their mind that life was centered around granaries. Now, when I read that shit, I said, God damn. That's the Dogon blueprint. The whole Dogon blueprint is that life revolves around the granary. I'm like, yo, this shit is crazy. Why is it that these other people keep adopting our ancestors' philosophies and becoming not just millionaires and billionaires, but global conglomerates and superpowers? just because they studied something our ancestors left behind and they didn't leave it there. They actually applied it. That's why you don't see me doing so much noise making in 2016, because I'm somewhere in the cut applying what I know and trying to inspire people to apply what it is they already know. So many people come to me for health questions and consultations, and they want to train and they want to work out, and they got high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, and all these various things that they know that I've been able to reverse in many cases for lots of other people. And when I talk to them, they're still doing things day to day that they know they're not supposed to do, that are counterproductive to their health. So that became the impetus for me. I said, this has to be my crusade, to inspire people to do the things that they already know. Because if you know you shouldn't be eating pork and drinking soda, you know you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes, let's just stop those things right there. Let's just stop those things right there and see what happens to your health after 90 days. Let's just see what happens. If you know you're not supposed to be having white rice and white bread, let's just see what happens. Let's not get too damn deep with it. You know what I'm saying? Keep the steak on the plate, keep the chicken. Let's just see what happens when we remove sodas, white rice, and white bread and cigarettes. Like, let's just do the things that we know. Overnight, we change. Overnight, we change. Let's just stop buying the perms. We all know for the last 30 years we're not supposed to be using perms and all that bullshit. Let's just stop buying perms, because perms are a billion-dollar business. So what happens if we stop buying perms? Not only does that business shut down, but now we still have extra billions because we're the ones spending the money. So now we retain hundreds of millions into the billions of dollars that we have something else now. So we can put that into the infrastructure of ourselves. So without going too deep into my, getting on my soapbox and shit, let's go into this cancer thing in the medical system.
Definitely, we'll go into that right now. You know what? He was just talking about gills and the granary and Monsanto, and it actually reminds me of one of there's a famous quote by, I believe it was Henry Kissinger, and he basically said that if you control oil, you basically control the nations, but if you control food, you actually control the people. So that's, to me, that was a very powerful quote. And we can see that's what's going on right now. They're actually being able to control the people by creating these genetically modified foods. They're able to do what is it called? Population control, by actually controlling the water, controlling the granaries, the seeds that people actually have to use. The farmers have to use.
Wait, let me just add this, because you said something, and I've been dying to say this like for the longest, but it always slips my mind, and I want to just add it in right now. When we say the term population control, 95% of the time we use that word in the wrong context. 95% of the time. When we say the term population control, what we're usually implying or using that term for is to allude to reducing the population, killing off the population, and reducing the numbers of the population, blah blah blah. That is not the number one goal of population control. The number one goal of population control is, guess what? Population control. I know that sounds really ridiculous when I say it like that, but that's what they're doing. See, when you understand how the body works, then you understand how, when we say the body is electric, then that should automatically intimate. We understand that the body works like technology is made based on how our bodies are made. Our body, our genetics runs on a program. So when we control the food, we control the programs that your body runs on. We can implant emotions into your body when we control your food source. We can implant feelings by controlling your hormones. When we control your hormones and your feelings, we then control your thoughts, and not just your thoughts per se, but the template from where the thoughts arise. So you think you're in control of thinking. You think that you're thinking with a free mind, but you're not. You're being controlled, and that is how we are still doing the things that we know better than doing. So when we use that term population control, we have to know that the reducing the numbers and killing people off, yeah, that's cool, but you know, there's more money in just having a lot of slaves and a lot of dummies and a lot of jackasses and keeping a lot of people to run through these cancer programs and a lot of people to run through these diabetes programs. And you know, we'll get a famous basketball player and we'll put him on all types of magazines and say, hey, you guys can live with AIDS. And then, you know, I mean, this shit is crazy. This shit is crazy. So that's population control, when you control the masses, not just through brainwashing and telling them how to think, but programming them at the genetic level. And this is what Rockefeller actually, this was the term that was the original course of microbiology. The original name of that was going to be eugenics. They were actually funding eugenics classes in all the colleges around the world. And Rockefeller Institute gave like, what was it, $50 million to, I think it was 20 different colleges to start these programs. And but eugenics had got so hot. Remember the nightclub analogy, right? They had to change it, and it became microbiology. So it's really learning how to control the behavior of cells, because cells then control the behavior of the entire organism, because that's all we are, is a big amalgamation of cells. So that's what the whole study of microbiology is understanding how to control the cell, make it sick, make it healthy, make it go fast, make it go slow. How do you do that? You control cellular behavior by controlling the worker bees in the cell, which are the enzymes. How do you control enzymes? You control the access to amino acids. How do you control how amino acids function? You control the access to the minerals, the amino acids. You know, these are all of the things that so not understanding these things is what's got us. So once I figured all this shit out, I was like, oh, okay, so the people just need the information. Boom. God complex course. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into this cancer thing so we can pull yet another example out of the hat of how we're just in the dark about our biology and it's being taken advantage of.
Wow, 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 wow. Yeah, there is a case, actually. I'm going to try to share it with everybody right now. Case that recently happened within the last couple of years, where this doctor, you know, well, I say the doctor, this was actually happening beyond just a single doctor, because of obviously the whole medical industry and right. The department that he was working with was actually funneling in black people who are, I would say, you know what, from lower social economical backgrounds.
Yeah, from the hood.
Yeah, funneling them in. So we're going to go into it. Funnel them in and misdiagnose cancer, and basically plying them with drugs, plying them with chemotherapy, and these individuals didn't actually have cancer at all. But because of their ignorance and because they didn't take a second look or take a second opinion, they just literally went with what the doctor said. The doctor was literally scamming them for that period of time. So let's go into it right now. So here's the article, which can be found on the dailymail.co.uk. Where a multimillionaire doctor who plunged hundreds of patients into bankruptcy by falsely diagnosing cancer and giving them unnecessary chemo is jailed for 45 years. Dr. Farid.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Don't scroll. Just keep it right there for a second. Because I need people to see. You know, I'm at ground zero. You know what I'm saying? Look at the city where he did all of this at. Detroit, Michigan.
So right here, Dr. Farid Fatah gave 533 patients, let me repeat it again, 533 patients excessive and grueling cancer treatments. He then billed insurance firms, scamming millions of dollars in the process. Victims, some of whom did not actually have cancer, had health wrecked. Okay, these people didn't even have cancer. Sustained brittle bones and fried organs, with one losing both of his legs. Some patients lost their homes and jobs and were forced into bankruptcy on Friday. Fata broke down in court as he was in prison for 45 years. The 50-year-old oncologist from Detroit, Michigan, admitted, "I misused my talents and permitted this sin to enter me because of power and greed. Judge deemed multimillionaire doctor scams a horrific series of criminal acts. Oncologist's time in federal prison could be shortened with good behavior." So there is a whole article on it where he actually poisoned around 553 people. 553 people, misdiagnosing them with cancer, in the hopes of actually scamming insurance companies and getting money based upon treatments. Because obviously there is no cure for cancer, and there's no cure for most of these diseases, so they say. There's no cure for these diseases. There's only treatment. There's only ways to make it palatable. You know, you go to hospitals so they can be hospitable with you. They want to keep you in there as long as possible, keep you within inside of the cell funnel as long as possible. So yeah, I'm gonna go straight back to you because I'm not talking. This is what I'm not the minister. I'm not the Prime Minister of Health. So Minister Enqi, I'm gonna leave it into your capable hands.
Well, here's the thing, too. You know, we got to understand the origin of hospitals. Hospitals grew out of hospices. And a hospice is a place where you send a person to die. Hospitals are really big and complicated hospices. But, you know, so one of the things that people were curious about when this whole thing jumped off, because he's not the only one that does this, is just like the governor of Flint with the water. He's just the one that got busted. You know what I'm saying? One of the things people are wondering is, how did he get away? You know, 5 or 10 maybe, but how did he get away with 500 different? Because it's the understanding of the biology. So what happens is, when you understand that black people, melanated people, have a different type of requirement for vitamin D than everybody else. Now, this is one of the reasons why I have solely been teaching about plasma in the health paradigm for the longest time, because plasma is the most important thing in the body, and I didn't hear anybody talking about plasma. And plasma is the thing inside our body that links us with the rest of the universe, because that's what the universe is made out of. And that's where vitamin D functions. Vitamin D actually functions in your body's plasma, right? So when you go to a hospital, if you're getting your vitamin D levels checked, they're going to draw blood, and they're going to say you have this amount of milliliters or whatever the case may be in your blood plasma. This is the level in your blood plasma of your vitamin D. You're circulating vitamin D in your blood plasma. Now, because we have a unique biology, and vitamin D serves as the gene regulator. Not only does vitamin D serve as the gene regulator, but vitamin D serves as plays a key role in cellular cement, or cellular glue, so to speak. Like, just so that people can follow. When you bring cells together, right, 2 or more cells that come together for a purpose, that's called a tissue. When you have 2 or more tissues come together for a purpose, that's a gland or organ, right? So everything is about cells coming together. So when these cells come together and they create tissues, glands, and organs that look and seem solid, what's holding them together? Like, if we take a bunch of pennies and put them together, right, we would have to glue them together somehow. So it's vitamin D that plays a key role in the cells coming together. In cancer, when a cell becomes cancerous, it separates itself from the tissue or the organ or the gland, etc., etc. It separates, it breaks the unity of the cells. It breaks the unity. Vitamin D plays a key role in holding those cells together, and it plays a key role in regulating the cell's genetic code at the DNA level. So when people are vitamin D deficient, That makes them almost 1,000,000 times. That makes them almost 1,000,000 times more susceptible to quote unquote cancer. And yes, I don't know where that just came from on the screen, but it popped up. Cancer is a blanket term. Yes, and cancer is a blanket term. In fact, all of these quote unquote illnesses, those are just blanket terms to cover a wide range of symptoms that happens in the body. So, but being vitamin D deficient makes your body like 1,000,000 times more susceptible to developing a large amount of cancer cells in the body, and then cancer proliferation around the body, or metastasis of cancer cells, etc., etc. So here's the thing. Here's all you really need to really be qualified as cancerous or precancerous: vitamin D deficiency and a consistent level of inflammation. Now, if you eat meat, meat creates inflammation. All by itself, meat creates inflammation. If you eat a bunch of sugar, it creates inflammation. These are the things that you eat and immediately notice you have to go to sleep. Why? Because it's so draining and taxing on the body to try to reduce that inflammation that your body has to start shutting down things in order to gather up the strength to get you back into some form of vibrant health, to get your energy levels back up, because you just ingested a load of toxic material to the body. So if you're vitamin D deficient and you're constantly ingesting food which is toxic to the body on a regular basis, you constantly have a quiet level of static in the background, a quiet, constant level of inflammation in the background. So you have what's called, and I'm going to talk about this in Charlotte this weekend. I have a lecture in Charlotte this weekend coming up, so go to my Instagram, at Minister Enqi Wasir, if you want to get the information on the address for the lecture this weekend. It's going to be on Sunday. So I'm actually going to talk about this because I put up a video on my YouTube channel. In fact, go to my YouTube channel and watch the video I just put up: vegan blood versus meat eater blood. You know, because I've been telling people this stuff for years. And a sister, her name is Piper, you know, she just shared an article with me validating, because now they've done this study in the laboratory where they took standard American diet, they took cancer cells, various forms of cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer. They took various cancer cells, put them in a Petri dish. Then they took blood from a wide range of people that eat a standard American diet, put it in a Petri dish. On average, that blood was 7% effective in killing the cancer cells. When they took people on a plant-based diet and put their blood in the Petri dish, on average, that blood was about 40 to 50%. I think it was about 30 to 40% effective in killing cancer cells. When they took athletes' blood, it was the same thing. Athletes' blood, people that work out, and just for people that understand, it's not people from the NFL and NBA, just people that work out on a regular basis. When they took their blood, and these are people that are still on the standard American diet. These are people that work out on a regular basis, that eat horrible. They eat regular. They eat bacon when they wake up, egg, all that kind of shit. Their blood was almost, not just as, but almost as effective as the plant-based people's blood in killing cancer cells. Now, when you had people that were athletic, that were also on a plant-based diet, their blood was about 70 to 80% effective in killing all forms of cancer cells. So the article was real deep, and I'm going to talk about that because there's another level of blood that's not discussed there, which is the cancer-producing blood, which is even beneath that general population of standard American diet folks, which is where large amounts of cancer cells are proliferating from and how your blood gets there. So all of these things we have to talk about, but the reason why a doctor is able to falsely diagnose over 500 people and get away with it for so long is because the conditions exist in people's body already. People are already, and this is when they seen this, this is where they came up with the new hustle with giving people medication before they actually have a disease. Like this new thing they're doing with diabetes. Everyone that's pre-diabetic is getting diabetes medicine. And it's just like, hold on. Are you people even literate? Like, do you know what pre means? Pre means before. So if I'm pre-diabetic, technically, damn it, everybody's pre-diabetic, meaning we don't have diabetes yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I be taking diabetes medication if I don't have diabetes yet? You're pre-diabetic. We're going to put you on metformin. Whoa, 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 whoa. If I'm pre-diabetic, then that means that I don't have diabetes yet. Maybe I might need to make some personal changes, but I damn sure don't need medication. But they realize people are so ignorant about their bodies, and they're so unwilling to change and move away from the poisonous things that they're addicted to. Hook, line, and sinker. They're making billions and trillions of dollars selling people medications for diseases they don't have yet, based on the fact that they can see the disease is already in developmental stage. So when you see that there's a pronounced vitamin D deficiency, when you see that there's a pronounced level of inflammation, you know that the autoimmune disease or the cancer is coming. It's just a matter of time. So you want to kind of be the one to close that sale. You know, this is a sales industry. The medical industry is about selling medicine. You see, that's why we have to become literate. When we become literate, we're able to use words and listen to people in a different ear. We hear what they're saying and not what they're implying. You see, when we hear medical industry, we think that means health. We think that means healing. They would be called the health industry. They would be called the healing industry, but they're not. It's the medical industry. Their job is to sell medicine. I don't know why people are confused. It's called the medical industry. That's what they do. They sell medicine. So that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be putting systems in place to help them sell medicine. That's all they're interested in, medicine. And now that Bayer is getting in bed with Monsanto, listen, the medicine is going to be in the food. And this is why we have to watch the memes that we're putting out, because even some of the memes we're putting out may be used against us. You know, when we let thy food be thy medicine, let thy food be thy medicine. I always tell people, I don't eat food. I eat fruits and vegetables. I don't eat food. Food is some shit that comes in boxes and cans. You better be careful. So when we're saying let thy food be thy medicine, we got to understand that they're getting ready to genetically modify the food and tell you that the food is the medicine, because they're going to have the chemical compounds that they would be selling you as medicine in the food. So like the stuff that you were saying, the acetaminophen and all that kind of stuff, ibuprofen. Most people that takes medication daily know. Those are just regular aspirins and Tylenols. Those are regular painkillers. And the reason why they're in such high concentrations in the local water supply in almost half the cities in America is because we piss and we shit out high concentrations of the things that we're eating all the goddamn time into the water system. And they don't change the water. When the water goes to these treatment facilities to be clean, they just add chemicals to it. It's just like the swimming pool. You never see them change. Well, they do every so often. They'll empty the pool out and refill it. But for the most part, they'll come out, test the pH, add some chlorine, add some bleach, check the pH again, give it the 2 thumbs up. That's what they do at these big treatment facilities. They add chemicals to the water, and then when the chemicals give off a certain pH or a certain level of consistency, they recycle that back out to the families and homes. So there are a lot of chemicals and residues that build up in these waters, and some of these things have long-term lasting effects. So the whole entire medical system, you know, going into Marion Sims, the father of modern gynecology, was built off of a practice of eugenics. The original textbooks, the original founding fathers of all these systems were deeply embedded in racist ideologies and putting racist systems in place. So one of the things we have to think about as people begin to change, right? Because we'd be ignorant if we said that everybody today, every white person today is a racist, like this was the year 1800. Right? We would be ignorant to say that, because this is a different world that we live in. However, The problem is not the people so much as it is the institutions, because the institutions have racial fabric at their core. So until we get rid of these institutions, then we're never going to completely get rid of the issue of racism and maltreatment, etc., because we're not doing the number one thing that we need to do to neutralize the power of these institutions, which is taking responsibility for ourselves. And that is the one thing that I was very disappointed about the whole movement, you know, when people were getting hype and excited about sovereignty. You know, a couple years back, like, sovereignty was the buzzword. Everybody was on sovereignty. Like people in the health community, they on alkaline and shit. People was on sovereignty, sovereignty, sovereignty. Nobody understood that sovereignty was actually about taking responsibility for yourself. You know, being responsible for yourself and your family 100%, not relying on someone else to supply you with a roof over your head, not relying on someone else to supply you with food in the supermarket, clothes on your back, a job, a business. Like, we are so reliant on everybody else for the services that we need. We need to learn our own bodies so that we learn how to heal ourselves. That's how we neutralize the medical apartheid. That's how we neutralize it. There's no way to neutralize it when we still are funneling all our dollars and our money in there. When we're going in there, paying and supporting these institutions, there's no way to stop it.
All right. Definitely, definitely. Hold on. Let me see real quickly. You know what? We're reaching kind of like the last segment of the show. So I want to ask our audience members, if you've got any questions for Minister Enqi, please ask it right now. I've already kind of copied and pasted some of those questions. So I will post them up and actually ask Minister Enqi. But we have got a panel. We've got a full panel. So if any of our panel members would actually like to actually ask Minister Enqi any questions or give any commentary right now, please open up your mic and speak forth. If not, I'm going to go.
Okay. I had. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Peace, Kalam. I had a quick question for Minister Enqi. I wanted to get Minister Enqi's opinion on some of these diets that are known as, you know, eating for your blood type, or the blood type diet. You know, Dr. Oz, Dr. Sanjay Gupta. You know, there's people that are proponents of these specific diets related to your blood type, and then there's others that, you know, oppose it. You know, for example, these types of diets, they say, okay, if you have a type B blood type, you would want to avoid corn and wheat and buckwheat, lentils, things like that, and they would encourage you to try and eat more greens, only certain types of meats, you know, and low-fat dairy. For type AB blood, they would say you would want to focus on like tofu, certain types of seafood, dairy, and green vegetables. I wanted to get Minister Enqi's opinion on that, being that he's the Minister of Health. Does he believe in that? Is that something that he's researched himself? You know, I know that he's familiar with you know, homeopathic remedies and alternative medicines and remedies and stuff like that. Thank you.
Okay. I don't believe in the. I don't put any stock. Let me say that in the eat for your blood type. I guess I have my own type of eat for your blood type kind of diet, actually. I never thought of it that way until just now, just listening to you speak. But I don't believe in the Mike D'Amato, I think that's his name, because he's the one who started that madness, at all. And the reason is simple. When you look at the blood cell, right, all of the activity of the blood cell happens in the cell. That's where the major activity of any cell takes place, in the cell. So that's what you want to eat for. That's what you want to eat for. And we all have the same type of blood cells. The cells are distinguished B, A, and AB by proteins. that are found on the outside of the cell. The original cell doesn't have the A or the B antigens, right? So what you want to do is just eat original food for the original actual whole blood cell, which is plant-based food. So, minimizing dis-ease by saying you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that, and then you look at every diet includes dead meat, dead animals, etc., or tofu, and just every diet has things that if you do any sort of research, you will see is counterproductive to your health. Now, I will say that if we go African versus European, some people get a little antsy when we have that sort of conversation, but we need to when we talk about food, because if we look at milk, right, milk is something that is easy to bridge the conversation with. If we look at milk, we see that 95% of melanated people are lactose intolerant. Now, the exact opposite is true for Europeans. 5% of Europeans are lactose intolerant, which means, what does that mean? That means that they have enzymes in their body, A, that allows them to process the hormones of cows. B, that means that there is an affinity. There's an affinity in their blood for these cow. Are y'all still with me?
Oh yeah, I'm here, and you're definitely right. That was Dr. Peter Adamo, but I'm listening. Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
That's not wrong. Okay, now I can see you again. Okay.
Yeah, we've got over 185 people tuned in right now. No promotion, listening in to you right now. Okay.
All right. So I just wanted to make sure you was with me. So, anyway, so when you look at this whole thing, right? A lot of people get antsy with this thing, but when you look at the fact that they have A, the enzymes to digest the animal hormones, and then B, they have the affinity in their blood for the proteins, which means that their blood won't reject the foreign proteins coming from the animal. That tells you that they can also digest the flesh of the animal. So when you see that 95% of black people or melanated people are intolerant to milk, that means that we cannot digest the flesh of the animal, all right? Because the liquid hormones have a very strong consistency with the tissues, organs, etc., etc., etc. It is what provides instruction in your body for cells. So if you can't digest the hormones, you can't digest the flesh of the animal. So it shows you right there, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that we shouldn't be eating the flesh of these animals. And you take it to another step further. Your salivary glands don't produce enzymes to break down flesh. In fact, in order for the enzymes that digest meat to even work properly, you have to have an acidic environment. So every time you eat meat, in order for your body to break down the meat, it has to drop very low to an acidic pH just for your body to be able to break the stuff down. And so you keep your body in a very low acidic state. These are things that just doesn't work in a melanated body, period. Your body needs high levels of electricity. Most of your tissue in your body is made for high levels of electricity, which science would call a lot of oxygen, right? So, but oxygen inside the body is really broken down into free radicals and electrons, and that's how the body stays animated with electricity. So this is what your body's made for. This is why you're primarily fast twitch muscle. So anyway, long story short, no, I don't put any stock in that eat right for your blood type unless we're talking about the actual blood cell. There's no reason why I would feed my body based on the stowaways of the blood cell, the things that are living, kind of like almost like in a parasitic kind of function. They live on the cell. You know what I'm saying? So you know, and people would debate that, but that just doesn't make any sense to me.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a few more questions over here. I would like to we need to get them answered real quickly because we're literally running past the end of the show. Let me quickly grab one here. Real quick answer. Cleopatra Ra Sunshine says, does Minister Enqi believe in the story about a man who hasn't eaten or drank anything for 62 years?
No.
Nope. All right, let's keep on
flowing. Let me ask this. Where does he live? Where does this guy live?
In a vacuum.
No, the reason why I say that is because, listen, in order for the possibility of a breatharian to exist, he would have to live at a really, really high altitude in the ionosphere where the air is much more dense. So you could literally pull, you know, the electricity and the hydrogen and stuff like that you would need, in theory, out of the air. It is impossible for anybody that lives in any city, any country. Like, there's no way anybody in America or Europe is doing any breatharian anything. That's all bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So that's not going to happen.
All right. So another quick one from YouTube. Another question from YouTube. Queen D, please just tag me Titans TV in your post so I can see it. We've got one here. Please ask, what is the problem affecting the black community in regards with so many on dialysis? So I don't know if you could truncate that answer as much as possible.
My video. Go to my channel. Please subscribe, Minister Enqi. But go watch the video, Genocide by Ammonia. It is that our bodies are producing very high levels of ammonia, and it is shutting down kidney function. And that's one of the reasons. That's another reason why we shouldn't be eating a lot of meat, because meat is the #1 source of bringing high amounts of nitrogen into the body. And when you couple nitrogen with hydrogen, that's how you produce ammonia. Okay? So when your nitrogen is coupled in your body with oxygen, you produce nitric oxides, and those things actually help things grow. So people will say, well, if nitrogen was so poisonous, how come it makes plants grow? Because that's a different type of nitrogen. Lightning breaks up the nitrogen molecules in the air and bonds them with oxygen, and that nitrogen bonded to oxygen falls into the ground, and that's what makes things grow. When you put nitrogen with hydrogen, you make ammonia, and that destroys the fabric of the tissues all throughout the body and shuts the kidneys down as well.
All right. So there's a question here from Queen D. I'm definitely going to go to our panel members very shortly. I'd like to get all of our YouTube questions answered as rapidly as possible. Can you ask the minister which fruits and veggies are high in vitamin D? Thank you.
The best way to get vitamin D, honestly, is the sun. The sun. I mean, there are some vitamin D supplements. I don't want to give away my formula. We had a nice one. I might bring it back out. It was called Limelight, so I might bring it back out. But there are some good D3 vegan supplements. They might have 1 or 2 funky ingredients, you know, some probiotics or something like that in there. But overall, there's some pretty good vegan D3s on the market, 5,000 IUs. I wouldn't get anything less than that. Don't get the 1,000 or 2,000. Get the 5,000 IU. If you're going to go with a vitamin D3 supplement.
Okay.
Make sure it's vegan too. Don't get D2, because vitamin D2 is a product of fermentation. So I think they use like 3 or 4 different grasses, and they ferment them, and they take D2. That's how vitamin D2 is produced. So you don't want anything with vitamin D2. You want D3.
Okay, and yeah, I see that the questions are coming in. I see you, Chris. I see you, Furious. Who else we got here? Ace Kid. You know what? Let me ask you a question real quickly because you've actually put it up from beforehand.
Yeah. What's Ace Kid's question? Because he's one of my main YouTubers. Like he always supports my channel. So what question he got?
So shout out to you, Ace Kid. Question: how to get pesticide off your food? And I know he did another question regarding to can you work out to get the pesticide out of your food, out of your body as well. So the question is how to get pesticide off your food.
Well, definitely working out helps push all toxins out of the body, and I'm gonna go a lot deeper with that in Charlotte, as well as because I got my schedule is getting it's getting hot, so I'm all over the place. I'm in Charlotte this weekend, and then June 4th I'm in Virginia. June 18th I'm in South Carolina. Uh, June 23rd I'm in Chicago. Then I'm back in Chicago again, I think July 18th or July 23rd to do a lecture with Marcus Klein on children's health and education. So we're gonna be going pretty heavy, but I'm gonna deal with that more in depth. How exercise pushes things out of your body and why, like going back to the vegan blood versus the meat eater blood in terms of killing cancer cells. Why vegan blood or plant-based people eat plant-based diets, blood is more effective against cancer cells. Why bodybuilders or athletes blood is more effective against cancer cells, and why athletes that eat plant-based diets, why their blood is more active against cancer cells. I'll be going into that, as well as the hormones, et cetera, et cetera. And then pesticides and that kind of stuff, getting that off your fruits and vegetables. Just clean your stuff as good as possible. They got some good stuff on the market. They got a couple good products out there on the market. Me personally, I'm a peroxide kind of guy. I like to soak my stuff in peroxide. That's how I clean my fruits and veggies.
Okay. I see you, Cleopatra. I'm going to get your questions answered. But first, I need to go to the panel because our panel members have been waiting patiently, quietly for the last...
Patiently waiting for a track to explode on.
Yeah. So, Terry or Rich,
Yeah.
are you there?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask Enqi, on minerals, yeah? Is he there?
Yep.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah.
He's a bit blacked out at the moment.
Yeah.
But...
I wanted to ask, right, is a combination of minerals good for females, and is the mineral gold good for you for an everyday intake?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, not just females. I mean, females, males, children's, infant. We need minerals, over 100 of them. Between minerals and trace minerals. And trace minerals are basically just minerals that we need or are required in smaller amounts. But we need minerals every day, all day. If we don't have minerals, our bodies won't be able to maintain the charge that we need to function. So there's a relationship between enzymes and minerals, and the enzymes need the minerals to be able to function. So we have to have minerals on a day-to-day basis. In terms of gold, platinum, iridium, rhodium, ruthenium, all of those things are needed in the body. And all of those, the gold and platinum group metals, the mineral form, the bioavailable mineral forms, are in the mom atomics. That's one of the things that inspired me to make the mom atomics when my daughter had broke her spine and everything, is because I realized that there was a large need for those things, and it improved my ability to retain information, the speed that I read at. Like, it just changed my brain completely, like overnight. And I always have this, like, I have this running joke with my brother Diallo from Ohio. He's like, yo, they're stealing the whole Limitless show off of your lectures and shit like that. And we laugh at it, but it's true. The minerals that your brain runs on, it's the same as a computer. You have to have copper, gold, nickel, iron, palladium, platinum, all these things in order to process light. So see, that's a whole nother level of understanding how the body works. We're still at such a low level of understanding that we can't even really get to the exciting stuff. So like right now I have the God Complex course, but people that graduate that course, I have a 6 to 12 month class that I'm developing called the Melanin Magi, and that's going to be the next level where we study the body, but in a completely different way. We'll be studying the body in terms of light, electricity, sound, and magnetism. So understanding biophotons, et cetera, you know, that area is being completely dominated by Germans right now. And, you know, we're getting ready to enter a brand new health paradigm where electrons are going to be the #1 source of nutrition, electrons and hydrogen. And again, we're going to be left with, you know, at the behest of these same people that gave us IG Farben, Bayer, Monsanto, because the technology's coming out of Germany again, because we're not doing the work. And when we look back at Egypt and Kemet, these people were masters of these sciences. That's what they were masters of, electromagnetism. And it's almost silly to me to see how shallow and unintelligent we look, because people will argue me down. They'll say, "Minister, you sound pseudo. What do you mean magnetism in the body? You sound pseudo." I'm like, you need to have your ass slapped. What do you mean? When you say when you say the body's electric, the moment you say the body's electric, you're saying out of your mouth that the body runs on magnetism, because you can't have an electric current without a magnetic field. You can't have electricity without some form of light production, even if that light is visible or not to the naked eye. It's still going to produce light. You can't have the movement of atoms without vibration. You can't have vibration without sound, even if it's not enough of movement of vibration where your body can pick up the phonons, which are the basic units of sound. So all of these things are happening in our body, and this is what our body runs on: biophotons, electrons, and all of these things without us being even aware, and these things are being manipulated around us on a regular basis, which is why all of the really crazy video games come out have the warning that people can go into schizophrenic fits and shit like that by playing the video games. Why? Because they're putting these high-powered lights and shit in combinations that fuck with your brain on very subtle levels that we just don't understand is happening yet. So, you know, just to make a long story, you know, because I'll go crazy with you know, that's the whole idea of this thing, man. We really got to get to studying the body from a whole nother level.
So would you say that if you have it combined, would it be okay? So like just saying having zinc and magnesium together every day.
Well, no, listen, you have to have them combined. That's why in the Mom Atomics, not only do I have all of the minerals there, all of the minerals, but I have the minerals layered, because it's not enough to just have all the minerals. You have to have all the minerals ionic and colloidal, and you want to have them in monatomic form. Right? Those are the 3 forms that minerals come in. So you want to have all the minerals in all 3 forms, because they all 3 forms of a mineral serves a different purpose. Okay. When you have a colloidal mineral does not possess an intrinsic charge, but it can store a charge. When you have an ionic mineral has a charge. It doesn't store a charge. And when you have monatomic minerals, those kind of direct behavior patterns of how charge is distributed and things like that. So when you go into nature, which is where we should always use when we run out of research, because some of these areas we're talking about are still new. When you run out of research, you should always go into nature. And when we're dealing with herbs and stuff like that, that's why I just did a video on this, the dangers of herbs. Herbs have all, you know, I won't say all, but very large amounts of various minerals. Now, we get to know herbs based on the 1 or 2 minerals that they have the most. So we'll say, oh, this plant is good for iron, or oh, this plant is good for calcium. But there's still maybe 40 or 50 other minerals that's in that plant. And a lot of times, if we don't understand mineral relationships, we can create deficiencies in our own bodies not knowing what we're doing. So for instance, if we start taking zinc and magnesium, just to make an example, right? If we take a lot of zinc and magnesium, here's what's going to happen. The zinc and the magnesium. The magnesium may start to flush out potassium and calcium. The zinc may start flushing out zinc because they are competing types of minerals. So you want to make sure you're getting a balance, because zinc and copper, they like Bloods and Crips. They got beef. You know what I'm saying? When they see each other on spot, it's war. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure you have enough zinc and copper to balance out. And when you get all of the minerals in the body, you create that balance, and then your body's able to excrete anything extra. So this is why I don't suggest to anybody that they buy any form of single minerals. No gold supplements, no silver, no copper, no calcium, no magnesium, no single mineral supplements. Because every single mineral supplement, if you take too much of it, it might cause a deficiency in a mineral that it has an antagonistic relationship to, that your body also needs. So your body needs copper to maintain a charge. Your body needs zinc to stay in an anabolic or alkaline state. But if you load up on copper, it'll lower your zinc levels. If you load up on zinc, it'll lower your copper levels. So again, this is all God complex course material. Y'all niggas need to join the class.
That's right. That's right. Support my brother Minister Enqi. Hold on one second. Yeah, please support our brother Minister Enqi. Go and visit the website 40-day fruit fast.
Yep, 40dayfruitfast.com.
That's it. 40dayfruitfast.com, and it's got a whole host of
now wait.
books.
Now wait.
Enqi Vision.
Wait, that's right. I was about to say.
Go ahead.
It's not just the books and everything. You know what I'm saying? Now we're taking it to the next level, because this is what I'm trying to tell people. We have to begin to look the way we think. And this was what inspired me to get into making clothes for everybody. We have to begin to look the way we think. So that way, whether I'm in London, I'm in America, I'm in Africa, I'm in Canada, we have to understand that there's a science to clothes. This is where the art of uniform comes in. This is why profiling is so crazy. We have to understand there's an art to this. This is why people that have a culture, the first thing you can tell about them is by how they're dressed. You can immediately tell their culture. So we have a culture, whether we like it or not, of crime. We have a culture of crime. And so when we are seen, we get identified and profiled as criminals, people you don't want to do business with, etc., because that's the uniform we wear. So we have to start to look the way we think. And that's why I came out with the Enqi vision. And I even have, you know, it goes all the way down to infants. You know what I'm saying? So newborns can get them some Enqi vision. You know what I'm saying? The children can get them some Enqi vision clothes. Like, we got to do this thing from the ground up.
And the women as well, and even the accessories. I even spotted that you have bags.
That's right. Let's do it.
That's right. All right. You know what? We're reaching the end of the show right now. I just want to give a big shout out and thanks to all of our supporters, all of our subscribers, all of our newbie subscribers who've literally just joined us. Big shout out to Kim Taylor. She says here, great show. I'm a new subby. I've enjoyed Titans TV and new families. I saw there was somebody else earlier on who said that somebody recommended Titans TV to them, and now they've joined. They're enjoying the shows that they've seen so far, so that's absolutely excellent. So if you've got any friends that are like-minded as yourself, or friends that you believe or think need the information that is founded on Titans TV, please share the links with them, encourage them to subscribe. And you yourself, if you're new as well, please hit the subscribe button and join in. I see somebody here saying that they want to send some donations. Yeah, we have a GoFundMe account literally just set up recently to kind of fund the new projects that we are doing. It's called the Titans TV Global Project Fund. So please donate some money in there. We're trying to raise money to take Titans TV to the next level. Try to get some exciting and fresh Titans, the magnificent Titans that we've actually got coming on very shortly, such as Tariq Nasheed. Brother Tariq Nasheed, the creator of Hidden Colors, shall be on by the weekend. We've also gonna get Dr. Phil Valentine on. For that show, we're literally only going to take in those people who have donated money to the Titans TV Global Project Fund, or who has donated money in the past via Patreon. We have a Patreon account, or donated money via our PayPal account as well. So anybody who's donated any money will be able to actually come in live to see this great Titan on our platform. Okay, because I'm only opening it up to those people who have donated. For anybody who knows about Dr. Phil Valentine, you know, he is the godfather, the creator of the conscious community. He is a master or grandmaster metaphysician. And you know what? I'm going to be taking out some cheese, some bread, some money out of my pocket, because he doesn't do anything for free. And I'm going to get him onto the show to give an exclusive presentation for our audience who supports us. Okay, so this is my gift onto you guys who have always talked about, you know, we want to see Dr. Phil Valentine. You know, you may not have the access to actually go and visit him, or I mean, in terms of traveling to see his lecture, he does very minimal amounts of lecture as it is. He's one of our last great elders with inside of the community. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this for you guys, but I'm going to ask in return just to support Titans TV, donate some money, and we're definitely going to have him on privately for you guys who are our supporters to see as well. Anything else? Have I missed anything? I can see the UK is tuned in. Hold on real quickly. Am I still screen sharing? I'm not still screen sharing. Cool. Richie, did you have any questions left to ask? If not, okay.
Yo, yeah, Kalam.
Yep. Did you have any questions?
Yeah, just one quick one. As we know, the black body, the center of the melanin molecule is selenium. So, if that's the case, just speak to foods or fruit that work for us best to enhance that, because we know that's. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, brother, Mr. Enqi, if you could give it like a quick 1 minute, because I want to close down right now before it goes over the 2-hour mark.
I'm gonna tell them all of the foods. I got them listed with amounts and everything. It's in the Live It for Light Bodies.
Also,
it's on the website, and you get the book free. It's one of the books that you have to study for the class. So if you join the class, you get all the books free. But that's what my response is going to be for that. And this is why, again, listen, while y'all are all in such a lovely donating spirit, send me some money, because not only am I building clinics, like I'm taking the money and doing things that you can see.
Mr. Enqi, real quickly, I don't want to cut your wisdom, but where can we actually donate to you? If we wanted to donate to you, you've been dropping us some crazy information, some good information that we're using right now. So if we wanted to donate to you, where can we actually go to donate?
Right to the 40dayfruitfast.com.
Hold on, are
website,
you saying,
but
are you
you
saying
gotta,
this website that I'm on right now, the 40-day fruit fast?
Go to the shop.
Okay, I'm going right now. See, I'm here. Everybody else, please create a new link on your tab. Create a new link. Type in the 40dayfruitfast.com. Click on to shop. Yep.
And
I've clicked on to shop.
I believe it's in. Wait, scroll down. Go ahead. Keep scrolling down. You're going to subscribe to all these lovely products. There you go.
There you go. So we can donate £10 to the Amber Institute Sports Clinic. We could donate $100 to the Amber Institute Sports Clinic, and so forth. We can even donate $1 to the clinic as well. So please, everybody who's watching right now, there is no reason why. You know what? If you've been enjoying, if you've actually clicked the like button, but yeah, as well, if you do like this, please click the like button. But if you have enjoyed this, there's nothing to donate $1. There's nothing to donate $10 or so to show your appreciation. You know, show reciprocity. reciprocity for our brother Minister Enqi. You know, I need to stop calling you my brother Minister Enqi. Our Prime Minister Enqi. Our Prime Minister of Health, Prime Minister Enqi. That's it right there. So yeah, please hit that donate button as well. You know what, and support us, this information doesn't come freely, doesn't come cheap. Well, we're giving it to you, we're disseminating information freely and cheaply to you, but of course this takes a lot of hard work, research, dedication, you know what, countless nights away from the family, from the children, to actually produce you know, the quality books, the quality products, and you know what, information that is actually being handed out to you. So please, 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 I'm going to implore you to support by donating to Minister Enqi. You don't even have to just donate. Support by actually donating money for products or books that you're going to receive back in kind as well. So please do that. Please go on to Minister Enqi Sangriel's YouTube page, subscribe there, because he's got information that he's dropping literally every single day. There's information, there's new videos being dropped, and please check out his Instagram, which is Minister Enqi Usier as well. Anything else, Minister Enqi, would you like to say?
If anyone has a red or yellow Corvette that they would like to donate also, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, thank you. We've literally you know, gone past the time. We've had on the Prime Minister of Health, Prime Minister Enqi, on the channel for us today. So please check out all of the previous videos we've had with our Moorish brothers that we did yesterday, which is a great Shaka Ahmos response. We had you know, Professor Griff on. We've had Zaza Ali on.
Wait a minute. Let me cut you off for a second.
Go ahead.
Know what I want to do? I want to thank you, and I also want to put you on blast, because you know, people don't really know how active you are when the camera's off. So I wanted to actually big you up on that, because you know, people see the shows and they like the controversy and shit like that, so they don't really know, like, when we were speaking about a show that was supposed to be like for next week or in another 2 weeks, he contacted me and said, listen, we have to do an emergency broadcast right now, because this is going on in the health community. This is what doctors are saying. This is what scientists are saying. We have to get this information to the people immediately. So I just wanted to commend you on that and let the people know that when the camera's off, you're still working hard for the people. This is not something that comes on and goes off, you know, with the camera. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is serious. And, you know, this is how I live. When the camera goes off, I got clients to deal with in the clinic. You know, we working on building a school to open up here in Detroit in September. So, you know, all the resources I get, this was what that goes to. Detroit is having a problem where not only, see, Michigan is really ground zero for a lot of shit going on right now in the States. The schools are being shut down here systematically. I thought it was bad in Philly. It's crazy in Detroit, in Michigan specifically, statewide. The schools are being shut down. There are children that aren't going to have schools to attend. So we're actually opening up a school. And, you know, the guy who opens up the school opening guru, you know what I'm saying, is who's leading the charge, Marcus Klein. So, you know, we really trying to affect some change. And I just want people to know, when the camera go off, we still working.
That's right. That's right. All right. You know, but right now the camera definitely is going to go off. And again, we've had the Prime Minister of Health, Prime Minister Enqi, with us. Thank you all for actually supporting, donating, and you know what, being a great audience by participating and actually interacting with us and giving us great questions to actually ask the Prime Minister of Health, Minister Enqi. So salute to all of you guys out there as well. I've been Kalam. This has been Talk with the Titans, and we're signing out. Peace and love to you all.